Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Zoom support session. Hello to everyone. Let's just check across the screen. So good to see so many of you, smiling faces, waving, and lots of people with avatars. And yeah, hi to everyone. Just to open by saying I'm so grateful to have you, this global support group. There's 1,800 people on the database. Only 64 of you have managed to get on, but that's, I guess, a full I Ching set. So that's not too bad. I also draw a lot of support from my local little group. We now meet, we have a very small, intimate Zoom session on a Friday at 12 noon. This is for people who live local to me, and I've assembled a local formal support group, and we actually met for the first time on Saturday and went to Nine Ladies Stone Circle and did a little ceremony. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have just that local small little group of people who are all on the same page and who are all there for one another, and really beautiful people who I've just literally drawn out of the ether. So I would really say to you, if you're not part of a local support group, either find one and join one, or create one. And the very best way to do that is search on Telegram under your town or county and just ask the question in groups, are there any groups local to me, or would anyone like to start one? Because you only need a handful of people to get it going. It really does create that sense of security and earthness to know that there's local people to call on as we are going into what feels like, actually, we're opening into quite, I feel, a sinister phase. And it was quite interesting with the whole vigil and the police, which felt like initially I was really drawn into it, and then very quickly realized it was probably a psyops, false flag, the Sarah Everard vigil and the police violence and the calls for curfews for no men to go on the streets after 6 p.m. It's like a false flag. So that was quite interesting. I also met a woman out walking Kobe. I walked him in Bakewell this morning, and she said, "Oh, I know you. You're from the videos." And she's 74 years old. She said, "No one else is on the same page as me, Rachel, here." And she said, I reposted the German doctor who spoke out against the vaccines and got an immediate 3-day ban this week. And she said, "I'm not having the vaccination, the jab." So that was really sweet to be recognized and to be kind of honored by this random woman walking her dog this morning. So every little helps. So I'm really pleased to have you here. And it's just so good to know that we've got this kind of support. Okay, I'm going to start coming to you for, I'm all over the place today. I'm flustered. I'm going to do an invocation. I do. Let's set the scene. Let's keep focusing ourselves, turning ourselves from the darkness to the light. Let me just open with an invocation, and then I'll start coming to you. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door to where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. So that's a beautiful invocation, the great invocation, as channeled by Alice Bailey many years ago. And as I always say, the reference to Christ in that invocation is about Christ consciousness, not necessarily a religious figure, because otherwise I get comments and people bashing me. And So just to put that in. Anyway, okay, let's come to you. Who would like to come on the call? Let's come to Linda, sitting against the orange wall, which looks very nice and yang.
Hi there, Rachel. Hi, everybody. There's lots of things I could say today. I feel probably everybody feels the same way right now. It all seems rather overwhelming at times, but it's, as we've said, it's really important to keep ourselves centered. But I had the analogy this morning. It felt a bit like doing boxing with a punch bag, and the blow comes in and then it rights itself, and then the next one comes in and you're never quite sure where it's going to be, where it's going to land. But anyway, that's how I feel right now. Things going on in my life, and I'm sure everybody's the same. I think one of the things that upsets me the most is for the young people. My daughter, she's going through stuff at the moment. She's nearly 30. But as a parent, you would like to offer them some kind of help, support, suggestions, advice. And right now, I don't feel we can. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows where we're going. We can all visualize this beautiful world for the future, filled with peace and freedom. But right now, people need to actually have something to cling on to. I mean, her whole life has sort of fallen apart, and she doesn't know what to do, and I don't know what to suggest to her either. But we just keep on going, and like I read the other day, we're learning to stand in the fire and not get burnt. So
yeah,
we can all do our bit.
Absolutely, Linda. And you are in the fire there with your yellow and orange background.
Yes. I'm in France, actually, which is even more of a challenge right now.
Yeah,
in a different way.
I think it is just dawning on everyone, this is never going to end. This is never going to end. And if they have their way, this is never going to end. And the only way that it's truly going to end is if the system itself is unplugged. That's my sense now. That's what needs to happen.
Thank you.
People are saying they watched Dr. Vernon this morning. Yeah. And actually the lady, she was also talking about Dr. Vernon Coleman and his warning about vaccinations and the global genocide. It's yeah, shit's getting real. Okay, thank you, Linda. Thanks for coming on. David, let's come to you with the pine forest.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel.
I take it that's
nice
a green screen and you're not in Switzerland.
Yeah, I wish. So, yeah, Rachel, I watched one of your videos a little while ago when you were taking a walk. So it was very good. It resonated with me. And then I was invited by a friend. So we're very much working on a practical project, which is understanding the psychology of the manipulation that's going on, and then working out how to navigate that to reach people. So there's over 100 of us now, and we've identified a 5-step process where it's becoming quite successful. So it's really understanding that people are being triggered by their fear and they're not able to be rational. I understand. And then, of course, we say, well, if that's occurring, how do we avoid that?
Can you summarize the 5 steps for us, David?
Yeah, well, the first step
quickly
is we need to have a shift. We need to have a shift from seeing people as sheep and opposition. Okay, and we do that by understanding how they've been manipulated, how they have developed faulty belief systems, how the information is not reaching them because of cognitive dissonance and dissonance reduction and various other cognitive processes. So first of all, we need to shift and have knowledge. The second thing is to understand what the goal in mind is from a conversation. So what is the piece of information we need to impart? The third thing, we need to obviously initiate conversations or enter them. And then we need to manage someone's objections, not to trigger that part of them that goes into fight or flight. That makes sense? And when I observe conversations going on social media, in fact, both parties are going into fight or flight constantly. Yeah. And what happens is that you can't be rational when you're at that point. So one of the things once we're having a conversation is that somebody will goad us into an argument. They will, what we talk about, they will invite us into the ring. And if we step in the ring and we start to argue with them, we can't win. You can never win a fight in this instance. So what we say is we don't step in the ring. And what's quite fascinating, when we don't do that, they will punch for a few minutes, but then they stop. And we had a beautiful story the other day where a lady was out trying to help homeless people. She was a counselor. And this lady was getting very irate, very agitated. And then she remembered, right, I mustn't respond. I mustn't get angry back. And then the lady continued. And then after a while, the counselor said, what do you need? So she sort of went into her heart. Then the lady burst into tears and said, I just want a hug. So what you find is that many people's fears and their sensitivities are actually being manifested as anger. And it's anger towards us because we're bringing a message that conflicts with what they currently believe. Does that make sense? So by following those steps, we have actually managed to reach a lot of people so far, and we're refining them. But it's really focusing on creating a connection between us and somebody else, where what you'll notice is that everything is about divide and conquer. It's about dividing us into two groups to oppose each other. And even the language that's provided to both sets of people, I don't think is an accident. So if we call someone a sheep, straight away that's going to agitate them. They will never hear a word we say. Then they call us COVID idiots and COVID deniers. And then we're caught in this opposition. And the minute that dynamic happens, the only thing that people want to do in that dynamic is to win the debate.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And that's when everything goes out the window. So we've been really producing and working on these 5 steps. And within each of the steps, we've got a lot of backing info and then what happens really, and I mean, I saw a massive shift in myself, that when I was going out, I was seeing people wearing masks as opposition. And then I had this realization one day, that was the problem. Because you can never reach anyone when you think they're other than you. Does that make sense? You've really got to, right, this is my fellow human being that just has some bad information. And it really is that simple. I mean, if we look through history, nearly all the bad stuff has been done with bad information that's been given by someone in authority.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we go from there.
So David, where can people get more info on you or join your calls? Can you put it in the chat log?
Yes, I can post in the chat. Now, we've actually just started making videos for the wider sharing. So we have a members group and we have 3 meetings a week. Like we have a meeting on Monday, Thursday, and another one, which we discuss the content. So we have one session where we do EFT practicals. So we work on our own emotions. Then we have another section where we work on the psychology aspect and we share all the information. Then we have a third one where we produce the data from which, when you finally do get through to someone, you have good, accurate data to share with them. So yeah, I will post in some call details into the chat.
And is it free, David, your thing?
Yep, it's all free.
Good, that's lovely. Nice to know. Thank you, David. Yeah, please put it in the chat log, which will go out to everyone who's registered after the call. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for, yes, it's good practical tools for us to work with to transcend the fight, flight, freeze, trauma response, which is being activated. Okay, who else would like to come on? I'm looking for people who haven't possibly come on before. So let's come to Anne Gwinnett.
Hi everybody. I was really pleased to hear what David was saying, because I've been trying to find ways of reaching people, and I'm finding it really soul destroying, really, the number of people I know who I care about who've now had at least their first dose of the vaccine, and I'm just seeing them all as ticking time bombs now, really. But what I've done is a while ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I sat down and kind of pulled together a document which was my thoughts, which I could then share with people. But I did it in a way as if I was talking to them and saying, these are the things that don't add up to me. And I had a whole list of bullet points of things that didn't make sense, like the PCR test overestimating the number of cases and how they're counting deaths, which is overestimating that, and various things to do with what the government have done and used false information, and then things about the vaccine and the fact that there's evidence that there are huge risks attached to that, and things about the masks and all the evidence that says they don't actually stop the virus spreading, but they do cause harm to you in other ways. I didn't include all the evidence, but said all of these points I'm making, I've got the evidence for. And then I asked them on the last page to, it's only 3 pages long, which is a very short intro, a list full of bullet points, and then a follow-on page. And I asked them to revisit. I kind of come back to the point that all these things don't make sense if you accept that the purpose is to save lives. But if you shift your perspective and think that might not be the reason, and perhaps that's not what they're trying to do, then maybe it makes more sense. And I asked them to reread those bullet points and give them a shorter version of it and say, it might make more sense then. And I found that's actually been a good way of opening up a conversation with people, that I'm not saying, I want you to agree with me. I'm just saying, I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. And that's been a way of opening up a conversation with some people who are now at least thinking about it, because the longer this goes on and the goalposts keep being moved, the more other people are starting to think, well, why aren't we coming out of lockdown yet? The numbers are down. They said we'd come out. So I found that's one way of doing it. But I'd be really interested to look at, David, at what you and your group are doing, and maybe get involved with that. That would be great. I've got a maths and stats background, so I've been looking at loads of data and finding it all very interesting. And over the last few days, I've been coming across a number of really good videos and things like the one that you mentioned earlier from Vernon Coleman. But there's a guy whose name escapes me at the moment who is in a sense a pro-vaxxer who's worked with the industry for years and years, who's now coming out and scientifically explaining why this mass vaccination is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
This is the German guy who was the source of the ban, right? And I forget his name. I'm sure someone will come up with it.
Yes, it's just escaped my name as well, my mind as well. But there are a number of key videos that are around now that I'm now going to pull those together and do a sort of similar thing. So it's not me saying it, it's these are things that other people are saying that are quite powerful. But yeah, I think you have to accept that they're doing such I don't like accepting it, but it comes back to what David was saying. We have to find a way of breaking the cycle, because sadly they're doing a really, really good job of psychological manipulation. And the behavioural insights team, the fact that they're so prominent and so much a part of this speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. But the last few days I've started, earlier on I was trying to persuade people or make sort of gentle comments without being adversarial. What I've been doing a bit more in the last 2 or 3 days is being a bit more blunt, not adversarial. But when talking to someone the other day, for instance, I actually said to her, she's had her first vaccine already, but not the second. And I actually said to her, look, I've just found this information, and it was the information that's come out of that Cancer Institute in New York. And they are saying that the RNA, they believe, given their research, will interfere with our natural process of defending ourselves against cancer.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that to her, and I said, before you have the next jab, would you like me to send that to you? Because I found this, and I think it would be worth looking at. And as the conversation went on, at one point, I actually said to her, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep telling you these things because I feel a responsibility to share this information so you can make an informed decision, because I cannot stand back and watch my friends go ahead and take a vaccine that I think is more likely to kill you than protect you.
Yeah.
And it really made her go, "Ooh," but because I'd had a more gentle conversation earlier, and I don't keep going at her, but every now and again I come back with something else like that piece of research and say, I think you should look at this. She's
Okay, Anne.
starting to listen, and I think we've got to be a bit bolder now, but in a clever way,
Yeah.
if we can.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks for that.
And thank you for this group. It really helps to know there are other people out there thinking the same.
Thanks, Anne. Okay, and Ray is saying it's Geert van den Bosch is the guy's name. Yeah, I am wondering actually with this whole experimental genetic engineering injection program, whether there's a CRISPR technology to which creates compliance within it, within the DNA altering thing that creates compliant people. And it occurred to me, because I've heard a lot of stories of people after having the first shot saying, I'm not having the second. So if there is a compliance code in there, then they're going to be compliant, not just to the powers that be, but to anyone who presents a compelling argument. So there could be a window of opportunity here, interestingly. Okay, Beatrice Bartlett.
Hello.
Hi, Beatrice. That wasn't you that I met this morning, was it?
Absolutely not, but I'm 78 and I'm in Crete, so I shouldn't think so.
Oh, it might. No, I think it was Barbara, her name. Yes, the lady I met in the park with the dog.
Yes.
Welcome. Anyway, Crete, that's lovely. Is it sunny there?
Beautifully, yes. Yeah. I came here just for a winter break last year and stayed when COVID happened, and I'm still here. And fortunately, I have made many friends who are very similar minded, which is very reassuring. But it still doesn't take away the fact that there is a deep concern about what's happening in England, and particularly with the fact that my family are all going to be vaccinated and they think it's a good thing. And it doesn't matter what I say, I can't seem to change it. So I was rather interested in what Anne compiled. I think it was Anne who just spoke. And the very first time I've come on here, and I was invited by Susan, and I am delighted to be here, and I will listen and partake as much as I can. So thank you very much. I have nothing else constructive to say to you today.
Well, thanks for coming on, Beatrice, and good to hear from you and know that you are holding the line from out there in
yes. Yeah.
in Crete. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to come across the screen, see who else we've got on. How about Michael Mankinder? Would you like to come on?
Hi, good morning, all. The name of our movement is the Mankinder Movement, and we can be reached at mankinder.net.
Where are you phoning from, Michael?
From Los Angeles, California, United States.
How wonderful. What time is it there?
It's a bit early. It's 5:25 a.m.
Well, it's nice to know that we've got some Californians on again.
Indeed. Well, I've been observing you for some time, Rachel, and you're doing brilliant work, and I thank you for everything you've been doing.
Thank you. Tell us about the Mankinder movement.
Thank you. I've been seeking and researching truth for eons, and certainly 9/11 was a wake up for so many of us. I talked to Bill Maher in a bar here in 2002 after he got fired for saying the right things. That's before they sucked him back into the system. And I think they gave him the speech from Network. You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, and you will atone. So he's been parroting the right-left paradigm ever since, but they gave him his job back. Anyway, what I've seen is that there are a multitude of attacks against mankind. And it took me a while, after gathering a team of experts on various topics, from weather warfare to mandatory vaccination to all the other toxic attacks against mankind, to build our team and then gradually determine a name for it. Because there's a little problem with the word human. Some people feel that it is referring to a creature, a diminished form of a man or woman. So so I realized, well, how do we judge, who are the cool people that we actually want to deal with? They're kinder. They're kind. They have kindness. And then what are we? We are mankind. We are men and women. That's what we are. So it's just that simple. And the words really have power. The very simple words have great power. So I put together mankind and kinder and realized that there was no mankind or net, no network to support mankind against the attacks from the technocracy, the corporatocracy, the geoengineering and everything else. And we started to pull the team together and pull strategies together. So we've been networking with various leaders like yourself and pulling it all together. So we're working with locations like farms, ranches, et cetera, that are capable of, first of all, having natural spring water and being able to protect the perimeter and being able to protect themselves lawfully, et cetera. And by the way, the gentleman earlier, was it David? Made a brilliant presentation. Thank you so much for that. So just addressing the ways that we can strategize together, because that's what the dark side has been doing so well, because they function from hive mind, whereas those of us who are independent thinkers have had a hard time getting out of our own little narrow, my brand or whatever, and defensiveness and lack of trust and all that, and of course feeling buffeted by all the attacks again against us as mankind and as individuals. But pulling together advertising, marketing, branding strategies to get the simple message, because what's the pitch line for vaccines? Anybody? Safe and effective, right? So that's been drilled into you even subconsciously. We as a truth movement for mankind haven't had that slow. Of course, a lot of great folks have been starting to organize unity together, like our own local Dr. Simone Gold here in Los Angeles, America's Frontline Doctors, and various other organizations. So, but even those organizations are still generally within one topic, so medicine or geoengineering or whatever. And by strategizing everybody together, we can actually pull this off, but we really need to pull it together. And of course, the challenge is that we've been attacked so badly financially that folks are scrambling. Most folks who really get the whole picture have been so abused, and they're scrambling for a dollar. But I'm confident that there are people out there that can finance this and pull together and really unify and do this right.
Cool, Michael. Wow, that's amazing. So mankind.net, we're going to have a look at that, and I will post that on my Telegram channel as well. Sounds fascinating.
I'll be honest with you, there's not much there, because we're just the empty box that supports what you're doing and what Simone Gold is doing, and the various other people are doing. There's so many, but it's
I'll take
subtle.
a look anyway.
I'm kind of hiding in plain sight very quietly, and we'll talk with individuals and leaders that want to pull things together. So I'll put my contact info in the chat again.
Yeah, cool.
Sorry I rambled so long.
No, that's great. I just wondered where you were taking us on that journey. I thought you were going into a labyrinth in your house, into some sort of subterranean control room.
I have to make coffee, and I wanted to, things to look a little nicer than just by my little desk.
Okay, Michael, thank you. Lots of love, and so great to have people on from all over the world each week. Who else would like to come on? How about Terry? She's eating something. No eating on this call.
It's my cup of tea. I just put the leaves in loose, and then I have to kind of move them about. Anyway, I didn't have anything prepared. I think in regards to this idea of waking people up, I totally get it. For the last year, I've been desperately wanting to wake up my mom and my brother because they are basically my only family. But I realized that it's not my job and that they will wake up in their own divine timing. It's really hard to step back and just let it happen. But I realized what I need to do right now is to work on myself and to just heal my stuff so that when they wake up, because I believe it will happen, then I can be there to be a guide for them, so to speak. And I think the more that, and I understand getting people into conversations and all the rest, you know, is trying to bring up questions that make people think. But if they're so deeply into it, they'll just keep pushing back and pushing back, as I've experienced it with my mom, is that if I say, what about this, what about that? She just has an answer for everything. So I know it's hard, but then I feel that's a waste of my energy when I could be healing myself and actually putting my light out there in a positive healing way. Because I know the power of prayer works and mantras and things like that. And that's what I tend to want to use my energy for, rather than getting into arguments about what's in the paper or what's on the TV.
I have to say, I agree with you. And I've just gone into that place of surrender, of just accept, even with my sons, of just, I honor your decision. If you want to go along with it, I honor, I'll share all the information with you, but I honor your choice. Yeah,
absolutely. Because I know if it was the other way, if they were trying to get me part of that whole matrix, I would be pushing back. So I get it. Nobody likes to be told what to do. But I just think that it's a better use of my time to just keep holding space, holding light, praying, putting the vibes out there on the planet, and
yes,
people will wake up. God's planned it all. It's divine timing. It's perfect. It will happen in a perfect way.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and I think it is leading by example of just being out, smiling without a mask. Yes. The people, when we were at Nine Ladies, just seeing us gathered, holding hands, and just, we did an invocation, and people like looking.
Yes,
there's people. No one's wearing a mask. They're all holding hands. It was actually quite sweet, So I think leading by example and just, just gathering people,
putting the heart out.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Terry. Thanks for coming on. Okay, let's come across and see who else we've got here. I'm looking for people who haven't maybe come on before. We've got 91 on at the moment. I'm going to come to people who are actually on video. What about Atlanti S in the beautiful, warm-looking coat there?
Yes, I'm in Tunbridge Wells. Can you hear me well?
Hello, hi.
Yes, I live in Eastbourne, but I'm in Tunbridge Wells, and I had to stop in the car and to join. This is how important these calls are. And I just wanted to say that how, I've been sort of from the beginning on your calls, and I think a lot of people noticed how energy has changed, isn't it? In the beginning, we were all so much in pain, and we just couldn't really understand what is happening. And I think now we all, I spent last 3 weeks meditation every day, just make sure that I stay in the high vibration. I have to say, for the past year, I can see that I've made a difference in every single person I spoke to, even the ones who were very, very deep asleep. For example, at the moment, I'm coming from there is a cosmetic clinic, and the lady owner, she was, so deep in fear. She was sterilizing everything. So she took her AstraZeneca, her husband took the Pfizer, and, every time I would come in, she would sort of ask me, I would ask her, I say, so is everything, you still see things? She said, yes. And today she actually asked me, she said, I'm not feeling good. I said, exactly, because you're not meant to feel good, because everything which meant to be human was severed from you. No connection. I say, especially now, I think because she had her vaccine, so she's looking less through the fear. So she's more open around, and I could see, that planting that little seed of understanding that, I mean, I was in the beginning as well, sheep, isn't it? They all sheep. Now, I totally agree with David. It's a connection, isn't it? It's all about us being together. But I am really positive, and I've met a few friends who sort of in the spiritual field as well, and they said they never felt as strong as before.
Yes, definitely. I think we are finding our core strengths and our connection, our vertical connection. And yes, Atlanta, it would be quite difficult for you to call someone a sheep with that coat on, really, wouldn't it?
That's true.
I love it. I love your coat.
I didn't think it that way, but yeah, you're right.
Okay, Atlanta, thanks for coming on and sharing. Thanks for stopping your car and tuning in. And it's great that we've got so many people wanting to join, and lots of people who are here for multiple times. So I'm trying to find people who haven't come on before, unless you particularly want to come on again, people who've been on before. Amanda, let's see if we can get to you again. You're holding up the book, and can you speak now?
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. I've
Hello.
got this book, Dissolving Illusions. I don't know if anybody else has read it.
Hold it up a bit higher because we can't quite see it. Disease, Vaccines, and the Forgotten History. Oh, Dissolving Illusions. Suzanne
Dissolving
Humphreys.
Illusions.
Okay.
Diseases, Vaccines, and the Forgotten History.
Can you sum it up in a few sentences, the thrust of that book?
Yeah, The Dissolving Illusions by Suzanne Humphreys. It's she's good.
So Amanda, what I'm saying is, can you summarize in a few sentences the gist of that book?
It's very good about her. She's also an anti she's also very similar to what's the other the anti-vax doctor.
There's quite a lot of them. Vernon Coleman, Michael Yeadon.
Yeah, it's similar to
Andrew Wakefield.
There's lots of books like that.
Yeah. I mean, there are lots of experts and professionals speaking out now, Amanda. So yeah, thank you for that extra piece of info. Is there anything you wanted to share about what's going on for you?
For me, I'm just so I get very upset with my parents when they say to me that that I am I get sort of like depressed when I hear my family say things like these. They say I am they say I am the idiots who refuse to wear masks, just so want to spread more COVID.
Where are you based, Amanda? Where are you phoning from?
In New Zealand.
Wow. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining.
Yeah.
So you're feeling that it's a form of abuse, really, isn't it? When we're being attacked in this way. Yeah, so it's a test, I feel, isn't it? A test of how can we just hold our strong no and just in the face of those kind of poison arrows, because they are like poison arrows, that kind of verbal attack. So well done you for not crumbling and for standing strong and for keep coming back to wisdom and experts and teachers who are holding the light. Yeah. So thanks for coming on, Amanda. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah, lots of love to you. Just keep holding strong in your no there, and yeah, we're here to support you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, right. Who else have we got? Julian. All your guitars there in the background.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Julian.
Hello, thank you for letting me come on. And obviously, thank you for putting these on. This is about the 4th or 5th one I've been on now. Yeah, I've been sort of very much awake to this fraud for 12 months, really. It's shocking that it's been a year. It's really interesting to hear what David had to say about the way that he's kind of analysed the sort of psychology, I suppose. Because in the very beginning, you know, I tried to speak to as many people as possible, you know, out in the street or just anywhere in the park. But as time moved on, I did see that it was getting harder and harder and harder to, you know, to get this message through. And I can really feel that, you know, the sort of division and the anger. You know, I feel very angry towards these people. And David does sort of put it so brilliantly when he sort of says, look, you know, that's not going to get you anywhere, but it is bloody hard. You know, it's really hard to not feel a massive sense of confrontation with people who I call, you know, I refer to them as COVID-tastic. And that's one of my sort of more polite sort of terms for them, really. But I suppose one of the sort of sources of, I suppose, comfort and inspiration I've got, I don't know if many of you have heard of the lawyer Rainer Fulmick, the German guy.
Yeah.
And you've probably most of you have probably watched some of his videos. I think they went quite viral on, you know, on YouTube and things before they were banned. But he's you know, what he's doing is absolutely fantastic. I would love to see what he's doing come to fruition, because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, there is only one way that this ends. There's, you know, friends of mine say, oh, you know, if we all get vaccinated, then it'll be over within a few months. And they're all, you know, some of them are queuing up to get it done because they're so desperate to get their, you know, get their freedom back. But as far as I'm concerned, the only way that this ends is, firstly, that people wake up to the fraud. Secondly, they stop acquiescing and start, you know, just living their lives normally and just stop tolerating it. Thirdly, the people that brought it about in the first place, the perpetrators, do need to be brought to justice. And then civilized countries like the UK and developed countries like the UK would need some sort of constitutional laws to ban politicians in the future. And it's quite a big ask. At the moment, it seems impossible. You know, at the moment, it seems like that's an enormous mountain to sort of overcome. But it, you know, if we want any semblance of life back as it was 18 months ago, then that's as far as I see it, that's the only way to exit this situation. So probably going to drop him an email to get some more details of this, because I have started sort of bringing together people locally, some of who were out there as little isolated islands, and I think it's important that we all do that. Try and track down people that we knew or old acquaintances, find out if they are awake, and in some cases I've found people. You know, my old acupuncturist, for example, who was very much awake but feeling so isolated, and I've sort of brought him into our group.
Yeah.
And he's a really valuable part of it. And I think certainly forming groups and locally or nationally or whatever at the moment is a key thing to keep people sort of on the right track. So what you're doing has inspired me to do the same locally, which is what's going on now. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much. Cool,
Julian. Thank you for coming on. I've got a bit of a I'm going to mute you back there because there's a bit of a loop going, a feedback loop going there. What I'd like to actually ask by show of hands, please, is who is going to be taking part in on the March the 20th this weekend? There are marches in every major city all over the world, as I understand it, and I have a feeling that's why the Sarah Everard false flag was put in place, because they need an excuse to ramp up the policing for next weekend. So could you just show of hands who is going to be out protesting, peacefully protesting? Yeah, so quite a few hands going up here. I'm going to come across the screens. Yeah, oh yeah, lots of people. So that's really interesting, isn't it? And my sense is that is going to be huge. It's interesting because I've been speaking to Davina in Peru, and there in Peru, they have just announced a state of emergency through to September with a an extreme lockdown. And it feels to me, this is reading between the lines of this is, I mean, we all know this, but these lockdowns are the only way they can control the masses now, because I have a feeling that the resistance is probably about 25% of people who are strongly resistant to this now. There's probably 25% who are questioning, and there's probably 50% who are compliant and just having the injections. But 25% is a lot of people. And particularly when that 25% start connecting little groups, then connect with other groups. And then when they all start connecting together, and then there's a massive grid all over the planet, when it gets to a critical mass, then that 25% who are wavering, there's a potential. So then it truly is 50-50. And that has to be a concern for governments globally. And they are in a very delicate in-between place, because they haven't quite got the command control, AI, robotic policing, drone policing in place. And so they're at a delicate stage, but and also there's a mass non-take-up of the vaccinations. Let's come to Debbie Williams, who's waving, wanting to speak and maybe pick up on this a bit.
Yeah, I look at their plans on a long timeline, and there's an opportunity on every step of the way to interrupt their pattern and veer it into a different direction. Years ago, I worked with a lady who got a job at a big sort of exhibition centre, and she said that all of the men, there was 8 sort of bosses, they seemed to sabotage each other. And she said, how am I supposed to manage this? So we did some NLP of pacing and leading. And I said, let's look at them as little boys. And what do little boys want? Praise from mom, etc., etc. So we did a pacing of, oh, you work very, very hard, and you know exactly what you want. And then the lead was something, and you enjoy working together for the good of the business. And it worked very, very well. And I look at these leaders in the world, they've all got big egos, and they're all surrounded by yes men. And they've all probably upset somebody beneath them because they think they're better than anybody else. So I feel like I've took their power away in my mind. I see Bill Gates as a very small little boy. And as you said before, not had love that you would have expected, sort of, that there's no warmth there. So if we keep them very small in mind, and I keep picturing the whole matrix is falling apart, and that we can build this. There's a bit of a danger that feels like a red flag at the moment with the schools and the testing. I've fallen out of my centre for a week or two, writing back and forward to my school. I've given me tummy ache and everything. My son hasn't got to wear a mask, and He's certainly not doing the testing. But I'm in a group in our close and they're all asleep and they cannot see. It's like childhood abuse. And when I post something in this group, like, you know, it was reported in, I think, the BBC or the Mail, you know, I'm not being controversial here, that if the testing gets going, it would come up with the false positives of 24,000 per week, which would equate to nearly 750,000, the effects of it, of people that would be sent home. And I see this as something that government may use. Oh my God, the kids are spreading it now. And that's a little bit of a fear. So I'm setting the intention that parents will get bored of doing the tests. The kids will find them uncomfortable and say, I don't want it, Mom. I don't want it, Mom. And when I sent something back to my headmaster at school, I felt like I was fighting not just for my son, but for all his friends, because they want to fit in. And I said, I hope you are letting all the other students know that it is not mandatory. But the government has said they're going to be paid like 20 grand a term or something. So these people behind this seem to have been planning this from day dot, and they seem to have covered every path. But as you say, people are starting to wake up. There's tipping points for everybody. You know, when I talk to people, so what's going on? You know, people have had we vaccinated the vulnerable. We need to be opening up now. Why not? The government keeps moving the goalposts, and everybody I meet, they go, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So there's that seedling that I think we can build on, building the bridge. And as you say, getting to the tipping point. Anyway, I'm done now. Thank you. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Debbie, thank you. Yeah. There is a teacher in my local support group, a local teacher, and she's been questioning, and she's been threatened. Basically, she's been told to be silent, and she's been threatened with the sack. And this is the interesting thing, is the government is using all of their employees, everyone on the payroll of the government, so the teachers, the police, the NHS staff, and the threat is, you know, if you speak out, you're going to lose your job. And it is abuse. It's a form of abuse. Tim, did you want to speak? You've got your hand up. Tim Sanders. Yes? No? As we're in the final minute.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to say something that really kind of harnesses the positivity of this group. I know everyone's positive on a very deep level, but we're all watching pretty much what has to happen, as in all of the, what we might call the unawakened ones, or whatever derogatory term that is. We're watching them all come up to the edge of the cliff now, and it's really painful for most of us, because we're watching family members, you know, go through a process that we've been going through for maybe 5-10 years, maybe longer than that. But we've got to watch it. And the key thing for me is that when I go for walks at the moment, I really connect with the new air coming in. I can really feel it, and I know that everyone on this call is here to feel it too. And I just wanted to emphasize that this energy comes in. You know, we've talked about things that are going to change. You know, we talked about legal stuff. We talked about, you know, people waking up or whatever. But the energy that comes in is going to be the thing that really flips it. Because I'm feeling it now, just talking about it. I happen to know that part of my soul mission is to be talking about this. So I just wanted to leave that note with everyone, that we are incredibly powerful beings carrying really important energy within us, which can be ignited by this new energy that is coming through. And all of this is happening as a predefined, with a predefined plan. It is all happening for a reason, and it is all going towards the right place. And if we all hold space for that, then it'll happen faster.
Cool. Thanks for that message of hope, Tim. Thank you. Wonderful. So we just got the last few minutes, and I will end at 1. So anyone wanting to come on, please wave. Wendy Jackson. Hello.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, I'm actually not Wendy Jackson.
I'm Wendy
Karen.
Jackson.
This is Wendy.
Thank you.
I'm a bit in the sticks and say my signal's rubbish where I am. I'm not off from the line, ladies, actually. So I'm actually Karen Bentley. I have registered my interest on your project. Yeah,
Hi,
so
Karen.
thanks very much for having me on. Yeah, first time here. Yeah, just to say, amazing what you're doing. And where is the best place to talk or ask questions about the actual project itself? Is it on Telegram messages? Is that where
You
I'm
mean
not
the
able to get on
the eco community?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go to my website, rachelelmore.com/inner-sanctum, there is a page, and it's basically an overview of what's going on, and then on there is an online form where you register your interest and all your info, and then you will get a link to the Telegram channel for the Inner Sanctum, and in that Inner Sanctum are all of the links to the other, because there's Ray Savage and his Pleasant Rise Farm. There's some Welsh possibilities that people are working on. There's one in Scotland, and then we're doing one in the Peak District. So that's the best place.
Yeah, that's great. I've registered my interest, but I've got a very old technology and I can't get on Telegram. So I've come into town to get a big signal to crash on the call.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing with Telegram. You have to have Wi-Fi. So
yeah, I've got Wi-Fi, but yeah, no, that's great. So is there another way to discuss about the project with you and find things out other than going on Telegram?
Well, if you've registered, if you send me an email with Inner Sanctum in the title is the best way. And it's Rachel@rachelelmore.com.
That's great, thank you. Yeah, just to say, I'm part of a few local groups and we're trying to spread the word as well. There's one we're setting up in Mansfield Woodhouse, if anybody is around that area that perhaps wanted to connect with like-minded people. We're just looking at setting one.
So maybe put your details in the chat box, and then we can get in touch with you if they're in the Mansfield area. Okay,
yeah, that's brilliant.
Love them. Okay, thanks for coming on. Thank you. And okay, so let's just come back to the main gallery screens, and just to thank all of you for coming on, and yeah, just to check in with who's here. And yeah, I really do appreciate you showing up, and I know many of you have shown up week after week after week, and I really do appreciate having your support. So sending you lots of love on this Ides of March day. Let's hope it's not too ominous. And I'm going to end the call there. Okay, bye for now.